How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Wow, long time no see.
I know it.
Life's been treating you good?
Pretty good. I'm attending from Indiana. I asked my boss if I could just come here like I was planning to anyway and just attend from here. He said I could. I was like, yay.
Good for you. Good for you. What's in Indiana?
My kids and grandkids.
Okay.
So
Nice.
we were gonna come here and visit and then come back from Michigan and then spend another week. So it worked out nice.
Good. Good.
How's
Yeah,
retirement?
well, it's different. I'm still pretty busy. I hung on to quite a few of the leadership positions I had in the community because, well, they pleaded with me to stay, and but I'm stepping back from everything the end of this year. I told him, I said, I would really like to see what it feels like to be retired. And
Yeah.
And for my husband to notice that I seem to be working more and harder and not getting a paycheck.
Wow.
He said, So, yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. And of course, our son's getting married next May.
Oh, that'll be wonderful.
Yeah, so I know I'm going to be really busy with things leading up to that. And we want to spend a little more time with them. So they're still out in California. So, and I had cousins in Michigan I was going to try to swing by and see on our way back because we were planning on driving. So yeah, those will, hopefully another time, but you just have to be flexible, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, oh wow, I see some names I know there. Pat, hello. Elizabeth's on.
Hello, this is Pat Brinkman.
Hi, Pat.
There. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Karen. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi. Hey, Pat, I'm going to make you host, okay?
That's fine.
All right, I'm going to do that now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you going to stay on, Elizabeth, or are you going off?
I can stay on if you think you need me to. I don't mind.
I think we're okay.
Okay, then I'm going to leave the meeting and you are in charge. And it looks like it's recording, so everything should be good. Hi,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thanks.
Have a good meeting.
You too. Thank you. So welcome everybody that's here so far. I know there's more joining us because we had a few more on this morning's webinar committee that said they would be here this afternoon. So. So that's good. Hi, Jill, again. Good to see you.
Hello.
Hi, Kerry.
Let's see. It's so hard to believe it's November.
Isn't that true?
Oh, I never thought it would get here earlier in the year, but here. So.
Yeah, it's here. And it suddenly turned cold here, I have to say. So.
Well, we ended up with a really mild day in upstate New York today for a lot better than they originally forecast. It was almost touching 60 and we had sunshine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
we had a little sunshine this morning, but it's gotten cloudy kind of, so pretty well. So
yeah.
I was afraid we'd miss some of the color, but it is like peak. It's really beautiful in Indiana.
Yeah.
But
we haven't gotten a hard freeze here to change the leaves really. So we don't have a lot of the brilliant reds. We have some oranges, a lot of yellows and browns. So, and a lot of leaves came off the trees before they even turned. So
yeah, that's kind of happening here too.
I'll take it. It's better than snow and ice and frigid cold. So
yes, I agree with that one. Did you get a lot of rain through that nor'easter that was going up the coast?
A fair amount, yeah, yeah, it was raining pretty, it woke me up in the middle of the night, it was raining so, but today is a beautiful day, so, but we're gonna be getting cold weather, and we're gonna get those hard frosts this week, so.
Yeah, we're supposed to get frost this week too, so it'll be a little different than what we've had.
So just to add a little mix to the conversation, I'm in extreme South Georgia, and it's green and 72 degrees right now.
At least it's warm.
Yeah.
It get too hot in the summer, I think, so. But thanks for sharing, Kerry.
It's 72 in my house.
Wanted y'all to know what I'm experiencing too. Very much.
It's nice to see Joey on the call out in Idaho.
I'm just finishing up lunch. That's why I have my video off and that.
Ah,
And I'm, yep, Jill and that, and Terry.
yeah,
Both of us. Your
I
hair
know.
is long though.
I know. This is, I still think when I was in 9th grade, my hair was longer than this, but my hairdresser doesn't want to cut it. She says, oh, let's keep it long. So anyway, yeah, I took the plunge, no more color.
Me too.
Oh, yeah.
Mine too. I mean, it shows up not real. Mine's more is white, a lot of white. So that's why it's almost blonde in here, but that's what it was originally. But now it's more gray or white.
Well, you know, I tell you, I found my first gray hair at the age of 27. So, you know, I've been battling this all my life, basically. So, but you know, now that I've embraced it, it's great. I love it. I've earned every single gray hair, white hair on my head, let me tell you.
Well,
So,
when I heard that there were young gals paying good money to put gray in their hair, I thought, what the heck? Just
Yeah.
embrace the color. So
well, actually, I dyed my hair gray for my prom in high school. I had gray hair with my dress. It was a precursor of what was to come. So, yeah, yeah. That's the one thing I retirement, money on hair care. That's about it.
So this is my natural color to about here, and then this is hopefully blending in.
Well, I'll tell you, Jim's learning more than he ever wanted to know. Yes, but hey, Jim, you know, sorry about that. No Grecian formula for you yet, right? He doesn't even know what that is. Probably, he's too young.
No, I don't, actually.
It's sad. I need to get new material. I got to start watching hip shows or something.
Well, I'm not that.
You don't need to, Terry.
Young. He could have some gray hair. My husband at that time had gray, by his age, had gray hair, some gray hair at least, but.
That was the big thing. We always speculated that Ronald Reagan colored his hair while he was president because it was so black. But
Supposedly my grandfather had white hair at 35, so all white. So, you know, it changed. Things change sometimes.
the wrinkles reunion will now stop. It's after 2 o'clock. We have to draw it to a close.
Did we record all that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
Hi, Michelle, how are you? So she with the dark hair. Yeah.
Fine. Fine, thanks.
Well, if you look at my hair or some of the rest of your hairs too, we're not telling anything people wouldn't see.
Tails on the school. Yeah.
So
Oh,
no
gosh.
secret.
I have to get used to writing November. This is crazy.
Yes. Now, November is here. Before we know it, it'll be Christmas.
About 55 days, 54 shopping.
How are you, Pat?
I'm good, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Good.
It's nice to see you.
Well, thank you. It's good to see you too. And I saw some others this morning from Ohio, so it was good.
Don't be a stranger, Pat.
Well, I won't be this week. You can find me many places this week or many times this week. Jim is from Ohio too, okay, and I'm from Ohio, and I retired this summer until the end of July. So that's why Jim's making that comment. But Jim, I did help do a presentation, was it last week or the week before?
2 weeks
The
ago.
week before, for the NEAFCS conference. So I'm not being a total stranger.
Good,
I'm not
good.
going away too much.
Yeah. Just so everyone knows, Pat is a rock star of rock stars. Yeah. In our state and from our state, there's a representative to NEAFCS and elsewhere. So,
Well, thank you, but I don't consider myself a rock star. I'm just one of the group. I just liked what I did, my job a lot, and I like NEAFCS. So, and I'm trying to write down everybody's name as they check in so that I have them. So, I'm trying to do. And it is 2:05, so maybe we'll go ahead and get started. What I'd like to do to start, I did send out an agenda, and I can put it up on the screen. But while we do introductions, I'd like to just leave our pictures up for those that you, and I know some of you may have bad connections and not be able to have your picture up all the time, and I understand that too. But when we go around for introductions, if you would put your picture on the screen temporarily or let us see you temporarily, I'd appreciate it. But I understand you may have to go black the rest of the time because I know that some of you are maybe out and don't have good connection, and I understand that. So I'll go first, and then why don't I call out names so that way there's no confusion and everybody can. What I'd like to know is what state you are the affiliate person for professional development, and what's your job title basically, and then any other information you want to provide, that is great. And we'll just go around and say. So I'm Pat Brinkman. I'm Vice President for Professional Development of NEAFCS this year. I retired the end of July from Ohio State University Extension as Family and Consumer Science Educator in Fayette County, and also Associate Professor. So, and I am very happy and glad to be a part of NEAFCS and have this opportunity to meet all of you. So, Theresa, do you want to go next?
Theresa Mayhew. I am with the New York affiliate, and I retired this year on February 1st after over 30 years with Cornell Cooperative Extension in Columbia and Greene counties as their family and consumer science educator. And this year I'm assuming the mantle of Vice President of Professional Development for the New York affiliate. And I'm looking forward to hopefully planning an in-person meeting early next year for our group.
Karen, do you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Karen Desarne. I'm Family and Community Health Agent in Texas. And I've been in Texas for 12 years. Previously worked for Purdue Extension. So this is my, I think, 28th year with the Cooperative Extension Service. And I'm attending as chair of the webinar committee. So welcome to everybody.
Okay, I'm just going to go across my screen as you appear. So some of you have jumped around on the screen, I have to say, so, but I'm just going to do it that way. So Jim, you are next on the screen.
Okay, thank you. My name is Jim Bates, and I'm a field specialist of family wellness with Ohio State University Extension. I'm our state vice president of professional development, and it's nice to be here. I took this this calling from Pat Brinkman when she transitioned to another volunteer position, I imagine. But anyway, it's nice to be here. This is the first NEAFCS committee meeting I think we've ever had, maybe. So it's maybe not.
There was one last year, but it was after conference.
Okay.
A week or two after conference.
Okay.
And it was set up that way last year, so that's probably why you missed it. Too.
Okay.
Okay, Michelle Brill first, and then Carter.
Yes. Hi, everybody. So as you see from my backdrop, I'm from Rutgers, New Jersey. I'm the Family and Community Health Sciences educator in Mercer County, and we'll be joining Terry and Pat in retirement as of January 1st. Came to Extension late in my career, so I've only been with Extension for 12 years. Wish I could have had a longer stay, but I loved what I did. And I'm the affiliates VP for professional development.
Thank you. Michelle Carter then.
Good afternoon from Arkansas. I am the Family and Consumer Sciences educator here in Bradley County, which is Warren, Arkansas, Southeast. I've been working for Extension for 12 years. I was a home economics teacher prior to that for 6 years, and I am the VP for professional development here in Arkansas, and excited to see what everybody else is doing and their ideas on how to make it a successful position. So
good, thanks. Jill.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jill Weber, and I'm a human sciences specialist for food and health in Iowa. And I've been with Extension for 38 years. And so I've seen lots of titles that I've had through the time in different counties I've served. Right now, I'm the Iowa affiliate for professional development, VP. So I'm happy to be here and look forward to getting to know all of you.
Crystal.
Hello, everyone. I'm Crystal Terhune. I am with the University of Maryland Extension, VP for our affiliate professional development, of course, so I'm in the right place. I previously worked in this exact position, in this exact office, surrounded by the exact same handwriting that is still here today. I worked from 06 to 13 in this role. Then I left for some family reasons and came back in 19. So I've got a total of 9.5 years within Extension. So I jumped in because there was a need. We're a relatively small affiliate, so there's always a need for somebody to take a role. So I took PD as a way to get back involved with the affiliate, and have been really bummed to not have travel as part of my job yet this year, because I've only been to Hershey and I drove there. So anyway, here I am, and look forward to see you in person one day.
I know we're all kind of bummed that it couldn't be in person this year. We really are. The board, we knew we had to make a decision, and we were very upset about making it, but
Yeah, I'm glad for the decision. I think it was a responsible one. So
yeah, that's the point. It was the responsible thing to do, but at the same time, we didn't really want to do it.
Yeah, still a bummer.
Yeah, it's a bummer, right? So glad you're with us. Joey, please.
Joey Pites from University of Idaho. I'm county faculty based in Payette County. Been with Extension for over 22 years. And prior to that, I was a classroom teacher for 5 years in that. And then I'll just throw out there that I just returned from Epsilon Sigma Phi conference in Savannah, Georgia. I think, was there someone here from, yeah, Kerry was talking about Georgia. Fell in love with Savannah in that. So yeah, glad to be here and representing University of Idaho.
Good, thanks. Kate.
Hi everyone, I'm Kate McCarty. I'm from University of Maine. I'm here in Southern Maine. I'm the food systems professional. I have been for 12 years. I teach food preservation and manage the Master Food Preserver volunteers.
Great. Jill. I don't know how to pronounce your name for sure.
Oh, it's okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Jill Cholowa. I'm representing University of Wisconsin, Division of Extension. I've actually been in my position now for 6 years, and I'm here representing for the Wisconsin affiliate for the Professional Development Committee. I'm also the chair of the committee. And everyone always asks me what area of Wisconsin I am in, and I'm north of Green Bay. So yes, my whole family and county and community are huge Packer fans. So the county that I represent is Oconto, and it's north of Green Bay area. So happy to be here, and it's wonderful to see some familiar faces. But I'm sort of bummed that everything was canceled this year too. I was gonna still attend virtually, but it's just sort of nice to see the action of everybody being in the same rooms together. But it's great to see all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Kerry.
Hey, I'm sorry, I'm in my car. I'm in between. I work 45 minutes from my office, and I had to go get my kid today because it's first day of soccer practice, and I have to take him. So I'm sorry that I'm driving.
That's all
but
right.
Anyway, I will turn my camera back off and not be staring at the phone as y'all do the rest of the meeting. But my name is Kerry Vandiver. I am the Family and Consumer Sciences Agent and County Extension Coordinator in Ware County in Southeast Georgia. So I'm with the University of Georgia Extension, and I'm actually the junior vice president for professional development for our affiliate. So I won't have anything to report when it gets to that point, as we've just switched into our roles, and we haven't had any sort of committee meetings at this point that I would have been a part of. But I'm glad to be here to learn from y'all for next year when I need to know a lot more. So thanks.
Good. Thanks. Lynette.
Hi, I'm Lynette Babcock, and I'm representing the Texas affiliate, and I am a county extension agent for Family and Community Health in Palo Pinto County. And I have been with AgriLife Extension for 26 years.
Okay. And Chris, I think you already went. So I think that's everybody that's here right now. So thank you all. It's good to talk to you all, and I hope that we have lots to share. Because that is kind of.
I think you missed me.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Hey, that's okay. I'm Chris Kaler from Washington State. Until this May, I worked in Grays Harbor County. I've been with Washington State University for 31 years before I retired. And before that, I was in Massachusetts for a few years. And we also have a very small affiliate and try to spread the jobs around, and we'll be electing a new VP for professional development this year.
Thanks for speaking up, Chris. I'm glad you spoke up and didn't leave us. the next thing on the slate for the agenda I put down was state reports. And I'm hoping that each of you have a little bit of information you can share about maybe what your state's doing, or your state would like to, how NEAFCS can help your state, or what subject areas or types of information are most requested are needed in your state, so that we can kind of have an idea. Get information from you so that we can make NEAFCS even better, or improve. So I'm just going to open it up to anybody who would like to talk. And I think most of us will be respectful. If one person starts, we'll wait to another person till that person finishes, and then come on. Okay, so whoever wants to start can start.
This is Crystal. I'll just jump in. I don't really have much to report back. Our affiliate, sorry, my chair is moving on me. Our affiliate held back on some meetings this year. In terms of professional development, we sort of joined forces with some of our other local associations and combined it with our extension FCS programming anyway. So we didn't have our own professional development speaker come in this year per se, but we have been talking about ideas, and I'm interested in hearing from you guys about how do you decide what sorts of presentations to have, or what you are doing for professional development. I kind of came in under somebody that was on her way out, and so there hasn't been a whole lot of professional development action, so to speak. Before the pandemic, I had ideas for doing something sort of like an escape room type thing, where we would build it around relevant information and sort of incorporate different types of ideas and programming tips and things like that from all of the areas, you know, nutrition and families and mental health and finances and all of that. But then COVID thwarted that, of course. So we are considering meeting in person sometime soon, or having a hybrid meeting. So I'm not sure how that's going to go, but I am interested in how you guys, you know, do you take a vote for the types of topics, or is there some list that I don't know of? I was kind of racking my brain for like, who are some good speakers, you know, who's out there. I know other people are out there trying to plan these same types of professional development meetings. And especially with COVID, there should be a whole lot of really cool people that are out there and available to zoom in for a training that could be relevant across all of our disciplines. And so I'm really eager to kind of throw that request out there. Like, who are you guys using? Is there some database that I don't know about? Is there some idea mill? Or if not, is that something we could maybe get started so that we all don't have to reinvent the wheel every time we go to do this?
Any comments, anybody? I think that was one of the things that I suggested when I was running for the office, is we needed to try to come up with a list maybe of, you know, people that were in different states that were willing to do a presentation or willing to talk with somebody when they had questions about, you know, with that expertise kind of person. I think there's a few in the past that we've really all known were expertise, like Alice Hennerman, and now her name has escaped me, in finance.
Barbara O'Neill.
Yeah, Barbara O'Neill. Okay. Yeah. We all recognize those as the, you know, certain ones to go to if you could grab a hold of them or get them. But there's lots of other people I know out there who are excellent that we don't always know about. So I think somehow if we could come up with a list or something, or get people to volunteer and say, hey, I'm good at this, you know, that could maybe be very helpful to a lot of people, a lot of states, a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think there's an opportunity for folks within extension, within NEAFCS to put themselves on that list or to tell about each other, but also outside speakers. Like when I was here before, oh gosh, I have to say, when you go away and come back, it's like a whole different world. But when I was here before, we really approached things a lot differently, and we would pull in outside speakers. They weren't affiliated with extension, and they might talk about, there was one person, Teaching from the Back of the Room is the name of like a book that the person had, and I can't remember the name.
I know who you're talking about. And
Yeah, and that was really fun because it was somebody that actually was in person. She came to us in person, and she would tell us how to facilitate different modalities of teaching, and then also incorporated all kinds of like games and interactive things. And I think a lot of our folks are hungry for that type of thing, how to approach teaching differently and not make it feel so lecture heavy and things like that. And I'd love to know some outside guru who knows stuff like that, who could maybe zoom in, or that we could arrange. And it could even be like regional trainings. We could, if the person, charges a fee or something, we could pull money maybe and do that. I think that could be really exciting.
Jim, were you going to say something?
I was just going to ask Pat if, since we're all, VPs of professional development, is there maybe a listserv that we all could be on, where if one of us had a question on a topic and said, hey, does anybody have, a speaker on X topic, that they could send that out to this particular listserv and then get a response?
At this point, I don't know for sure. I had Danielle send out the agenda for today because I didn't have a list of the state VPs for professional development, but maybe Danielle, I'm sure Danielle would maybe be willing to give it to me, or we can make up a listserv so that we could do that. So that,
I think through member clicks, there should be something because, I believe they do have it formatted that way. I know they have presidents, affiliate presidents, and
yeah, I do have the where I can send out something to the
member clicks isn't
my
always
program on my webinar committee. I have no problem sending them things out. So
yeah.
I know I can do that without any problem, but I'm not sure about affiliates.
Now that I'm retired, I'm not always into the member clicks thing. I prefer email, truthfully. But the other thing I mentioned in the chat was that might be a good question we can insert when people are renewing their membership or becoming a member.
Oh, that'd be good.
Willing to do presentations, whether webinars or in person or whatever it might be, and on what subject matter. And then the other thought I had was a couple of years ago, actually earlier this year, I believe Penn State coordinated a professional development, it was a day-long session, and they did reach out to other educators in the Eastern region about things that they could talk about, things that they have been developing or working on through the pandemic, how they were able to get their message out, their information out. So they had a very nice day. It was in early June, I believe. It was all virtual. But so I think, working in your regions is also a good way to find out more about who's available, who could maybe travel from the next state over or whatever. I'm sure we're all antsy to get, back into actual face-to-face meetings. So, that's what I'm looking forward to planning. The other thing is that, New York's a little different from the rest of your states in that we, we're out in our counties and we don't really interact that much with faculty. And we don't have, faculty appointments or anything like that. We're not on tenure tracks in New York State. So for us, we're a little disjointed. We're a little disconnected from some of the faculty, and we don't have a lot of faculty anymore that have extension appointments. So that's been the real challenge for us in New York State. And I don't know if any of the rest of you on the call have had that problem. But that's sometimes why we've looked outside like Barb O'Neill was our go-to person for anything financial. So, it has been challenging. And I think, it's a good point Jim raises, we could try to find a way to help each other. I mean, so as Crystal was saying, so you're not reinventing the wheel every time. Because for a lot of us, well, I keep talking like I'm still working. I am, but just not about the money. But, we're also busy, and I mean, this is like, I don't even know what number position this is for me in New York State. I've been through almost all the positions on the national level. Well, not treasurer. I would never do treasurer, I have to say. Anyway, it's the more we can assist each other in these ways, I think it's really, really helpful because we're all so busy. And, I think anything that we come up with today that we can incorporate going forward would be really, really tremendous.
Yeah, I'd like to second, as Ted was speaking, I was searching my email for that agenda from the Penn State meeting. That was June of 2021. And they had, there was a 2-hour session and there were breakout rooms you could choose. Trying to get to my second screen. You could choose which breakout room you wanted to go to after we all got together. So their topics were responding to the financial impacts of COVID on consumers, Stirred Up Saturdays, Extension Kinship Care Program, Home Food Preservation, Work Well, Live Well, Stay Healthy, and Farm Stress, Building Farm Family Resistance. So it was an Eastern region opportunity, and I thought it was really great. I know I've been struggling in New Jersey to find, even before COVID, to find in-person speakers. We had one great idea to visit this what is it called? Hydroponic, really huge hydroponic farm in northern New Jersey, and they couldn't accommodate the number of people. And anyway, they were very difficult to work with. Another time I had this wonderful meeting plan with a speaker that I met at JSEP, and she had an family emergency that morning. Actually, her dog had to get to the vet and just didn't show up and didn't tell us till after the fact. So we were sort of stuck with, oh, what are we doing for professional development? It's really not easy. I'm glad to hear that everyone else is interested in pooling, speaker ideas, topic ideas together. And we usually alternate. We have 2 meetings a year, and we alternate, one virtual and one in person. But becoming so comfortable with virtual across the nation, really, I love the idea of that regional PD, and on the same time zone, and we know each other through States Night Out and things like that, and it really worked out very well.
Can I ask a quick question? So I've been here a couple of years now, but I've never been able to understand or figure out, when do the regions have their meetings? So I'm in Wisconsin, and I've searched, and I truly am. I know the website backwards and forwards. I'm always on there. I always jump on all the alerts. I sign up for webinars when they're available. But like, as an example, how do I find out who's organizing the central PD events so that I can make sure? So a lot of times our members will hear about something and it's after the fact though, right? So how do I make sure that I don't miss anything that is being offered through NEAFCS through the central region? Is there specific events in each region, I guess is what I'm going for.
Only
or do we have quarterly meetings?
It would only be if the central region representative to NEAFCS or director would set something up for FCS or NEAFCS, okay? NEAFCS. Otherwise, the only other one is like North Central itself has certain programs they've been putting on. I know they have one with aging. Jim's aware of that. A whole series they've been putting on. You might have gotten emails about those.
Oh, the NCRAN, yeah.
Yes, NCRAN.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kristen Litzelman.
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're all into that. I'm just wondering if there's something. Maybe
To my knowledge,
overthinking
there's
this.
nothing else that's really set up. Now, during NEAFCS, we do have regional meetings, okay? And you have some representatives or delegates from your state who are to vote on certain certain issues with the region during that meeting. Besides, it's usually a lunch or a breakfast when we have them at an in-person conference. And we have a meeting and there's certain things we cover, but there's not any professional development during that time. So, you know, it's a meeting, not a professional development. And I don't know of anything set up regionally that is really professional development per se for any of the regions, unless somebody's overtaken it themselves. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Pat.
Okay. Now we do have the webinar committee, which Karen Desarne is here representing 10 right now. And we would love to have more webinars available to our members. We really want to have at least hopefully 1 or maybe 2 each month to our members is what we'd like to. There is a form online that people fill out to submit for a webinar. Then that form is will from our administrative management company takes care of that website. So he sends it to me after somebody fills it in. I assign it to some reviewers. And it is reviewed and by at least 3 reviewers. And then it's either accepted or rejected. If it's accepted, then I let them know either way, whoever submitted it. And then we set up time and get publicity out and things about that webinar. Okay, now any member can submit a webinar at any time, or they can even sponsor a webinar for someone else to present. Okay, so you know, if you have a really good speaker at a state FCS meeting or something, you can ask that person if they'd be willing to, you know, talk to all of NEFCS or the webinar for NEFCS, and you can sponsor them. You would have to submit the form online because it has to be submitted by a member, but that is still a possibility. Okay. So it's not excluding, you know, people necessarily if we have somebody that we think would be really good for everybody to hear. Right now, I'm waiting on 2 people to kind of submit a webinar that said they were going to, but haven't in the last couple months. One of them is on finance. It's a government agency person who contacted us or was doing something. We got a hold of him. He said he would get it to me in a couple months. He was really busy right now, so I'm still waiting on that one. Another one is the Home Baking Association, who has done programs for us at some of our conferences. And they said they'd be willing, they're planning on doing a webinar sometime, but I still don't have their form yet either. So, or they haven't submitted anything yet. So those are ones outside of NEFCS that we can have do some. We don't pay anybody for our webinars. So, you know, if they want paid, then somebody'd have to come up with a way to pay them because we don't pay. Okay, but we are willing to have people do presentations and very happy to have them do presentations. So hopefully that kind of answers that question.
Oh yeah, all good. I was just trying to figure out a little bit more in our region, right?
Right.
Like you said, everybody, I mean, here we are, I know we don't have all 50 states, but I'm just trying to stay in the area.
Yeah, I think that's
And
interesting,
to,
Pat.
and
It
to
sounds
make
like there's a
sure that
gap.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I think you brought up a really interesting gap to potentially fill with some regional professional development. Yeah, so that's really interesting. Thank you.
Well, Jill, I'll just say, Jill, I'm your neighbor in Iowa, and I can go ahead and do my report now too, Pat, if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. I too, Jill, am very interested in professional development. I'm new as the VP for professional development in Iowa. I'm just finishing my first year. I'm still exploring and trying to figure out, really what our job is. Here in Iowa, we haven't done any professional development days within NEAFCS per se, but I also serve as our Human Sciences Professional Development Committee Chair within Human Sciences in Iowa. And we have not been on campus as a Human Sciences staff since December of 2019. And we are planning our first face-to-face meeting for December 7th. So we've been looking at, what we're going to do for that. And we typically in Iowa meet for Professional Development Day, this committee that I'm on, twice a year, in December and usually in the spring. And we'll sometimes invite speakers to come in. One of the things I wanted to share as I was listening to our conversation, we have a Human Sciences Educational Opportunities Life Cycle Curriculum Process. Within Extension, we like acronyms, so we call that the EOLCP. And really what that's trying to do is follow curriculum, tested research-based curriculum for any opportunities we have for human sciences. And that's really looking at our county partners, because I serve as a regional specialist serving 9 counties, but we have county partners that also have part of their job to do maybe some human sciences training, and we want that. And so we'll partner with them, and we have a committee process that you go through to have a state specialist with you. We have the criteria. If you're going to offer a class or an educational opportunity, you need to follow that process. So we don't have someone just in a county choosing some, having a, I can't think of an example, but just anything that's not research-based. So we want them to follow that process. So that in terms of professional development is something we're working on in Iowa. But I'm very interested in partnering with you, Jill. Maybe we could do something in the central region going forward. What we're going to be doing at our in-person training is we have 12 focus areas now in Iowa. Food preservation is one that I am in, and we're inviting our county partners to come and talk with us and brainstorm because like all of you, we've been doing virtual education. And I think for most of the human sciences specialists in Iowa, we've been really working on honing our virtual presence, and how we're all the different platforms we've been using and having good success with virtual education. But we recognize that's probably here to stay. But now we're trying to get back to doing in-person education too. And that's a whole new, how do you do both things? How do you maintain the virtual presence and get back to face-to-face? As a food safety, that's part of what my job is. I've been doing face-to-face ServSafe training since June of 20, just to keep that going. But many of my colleagues are just trying to get back to doing face-to-face. And we may be ready, but our partners that are hosting us may not be ready for the in-person yet. So just negotiating all of that has been interesting. So, and that's my report.
Thank you.
So Pat, I will share a little bit with you. I actually am not on my state's committee until January 1st in that, but thought I would come in here. And I think I've heard from a couple people trying to figure it out. And I'm guessing it's because different states have different timelines of when people go on and off. But I think what would be super helpful to me is if there's some kind of document, kind of a position description, and maybe it is out there, that says, hey, so you're on your affiliate's professional development committee. Here's kind of the expectations of you. And then the other thing I would love to have that I think would be an easy thing to do is kind of when should we be sending out some of those professional development opportunities that are very consistent, like JSEP, and they've changed the name to Leadership Conference. I'm forgetting, they use the acronym and it throws me off every time, but and peeled and stuff. And so kind of like almost a checklist of, hey, this is when you should be starting to promote PILT. This is when you should start promoting JSEP Leadership Conference. Some of those things as well, I think would be helpful. And then kind of to a couple of other people, but Jill mentioned it too. I think we do pretty good job of having some great content area professional development. But I think if we've learned anything from the last almost 2 years now, is that we also need some online teaching, some really good skills. And I've seen some great things done and I've seen some not so great things done. And then also, what are people doing for evaluation and impact when they're doing a lot of the online teaching, and how are they doing some of those pieces? So I'd love to have some, and I think our state would love to have some professional development around that skill development piece of it. So yeah, that's, I guess, not a report, but as best as I can do for my.
Well, thank you. But you have a lot of good points. I appreciate that. So.
I would just like to second what Joey said. I think that as much as we might say that we would like to get back to in-person stuff, I'm not sure our clientele is going to be so thrilled about that. I think a lot of people love learning from the comfort and convenience of their own home. So the better we could become as educators, either on Zoom or other platforms, I think would be really helpful.
That brings up a good point. Even in New York State, we still have quite a number of areas in the state where they have like their dead zones. So a lot of them are on their phones. So, they're listening. They don't have the benefit of seeing the speaker or any of the visuals and that kind of a thing. So, I don't know if podcasting is the answer, or, developing some of these other platforms that I'm not familiar with. For the longest time at Extension, in New York State at least, because of firewall concerns or whatever, we weren't allowed to do Twitter or Instagram. It was just, Facebook was the only thing we ventured into in a social media way. And one of the other things that they're talking about, and I know where you're coming from, Jill, with, clientele maybe not being ready, but we also saw initially last year, and maybe you all remember this, our state shut down March 18th last year. And, and everything went to Zoom. And I think I was on like 60 Zooms in the first, 2 months. I'm not exaggerating by much. And, it was like an incredible learning curve. And, but we did it, and we had tremendous participation all of last year and into the beginning part of this year. And then it's kind of dropped off a bit. The numbers, aren't as high as they were. And then, so we attributed it to, well, when the vaccines were finally available and people, were venturing out a little bit more, maybe cautiously, but they were, and then the summer, and then of course, Delta hit. And now we're hoping that the return of cooler weather, even though we're lamenting it, it'll help those numbers again. But I think, like everyone else has said so far, Zoom or online teaching program delivery is here to stay for a lot of reasons. And, so I think the better we can get at it, the more professional we can get at it is to everybody's benefit. So, I think even, more like I said, more training in that area, ways to finesse your presentations, and even your voice, practicing, my son recently took a new job in finance. And, it's really critical. It's really important of how your delivery is and your tone and the speed at which you talk and all of those things that we don't always think about, and it's a different kind of teaching from being in person to online. Definitely is. And for some of us, it's pretty natural. For others of us, it's been a bit of a struggle. So I rest my case.
I just wanted to, just because you mentioned podcasting, and I know we're not trying to promote our own things, but you did mention podcasting, and my colleague Leslie and I have, last year we did 18 episodes of a really friendly Family and Consumer Sciences podcast that we're real proud of, and about to start our second season in December. And we found, just on, as you're talking about how to reach audiences in a different way, because that is what we discovered, is that even like y'all said, even before, people were kind of not coming to our in-person stuff. So especially younger people are not coming to the extension stuff necessarily. So we found this great new way to get folks, and we found that even our least played episode has had a greater reach than some of our programs have had. I don't think that, we've been real successful with it, and we'd like for extension professionals across the country just to share ours and not start their own. But obviously, I think that would be a good, because we did it from scratch. We didn't know what we were doing. We had a lot of learning curves about sound, and she's in Chatham County in Savannah, which is real urban, but I'm in a rural county. So the program that we use is internet based, and we had a lot of sound issues just because of internet connectivity, because of where I am, and lots of things we didn't think about. So it was a thing we learned, and those are hard things to learn in just one webinar too, though. But I do think we would have benefited from someone talking to us, you're right, outside of extension, who is a real professional in that area. But I would love for y'all to check out my podcast and share it with your folks, because they might find it interesting too. I don't know if that was beneficial or not, but I just want to talk about myself, I guess. Sorry.
Kerry, since you gained so many insights on podcasts, would you like to do a webinar for NEAFCS on how to do a podcast, what's important, or how to, what you need to know more, how you need to put the podcast together and all of that?
We would love to do that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the form is
She's not here, but I can speak for her.
Go under professional development and look down, and it says webinar proposal. And just click on there and fill that out, and Will will send it to me. And that sounds terrific.
Okay, we'll look at that. I know she will definitely want to do that. So yes.
Oh, good, great, good.
Thanks.
So good. Yeah, I mean, there's things like that, yeah, a lot of times it doesn't get passed down to us from the state. The state may know some of them, but they don't get passed down to us. So getting that information could be very helpful for all of us. Okay. Anybody else want to add some information?
Pat, I can just briefly share what Ohio does. And Pat, you and I had this conversation when you passed the baton to me. We do a lot of professional development in Ohio, both content related professional development, and I guess I'll just call it process, the processes of instruction, but also I'll say emotional professional development, where we are learning about ourselves, our emotions, how to relate to people. And that has been obviously a focus over the past near 2 years. And so I've felt and that so my role has been just so minimal in terms of I will forward on to our to everybody who gets the emails already from NEAFCS, as well as to those in our organization who are not yet members. I'll just simply forward those emails on through our listserv so that people can at least see them. And if they would like to join, they can access the webinars. I usually try to put a little blurb in there about it in case they don't scroll down to see the email from NEAFCS, but I'll put a little highlight or and some kind of encouragement. We do have so a couple things that our FCS AD has done, our assistant director, with guidance from a committee of other educators. Every month there is time set aside, a day set aside for professional development. Now the professional development events usually occur every other month or something like that. But there is that day dedicated on our calendars, set aside, reserved, so that we can, take that time to do some professional development, whether that's catching up on a writing project or watching our own webinars, kind of things that we're interested in, maybe content specific outside of, outside of what we already have scheduled. So that's an FCS institutionalized way of doing professional development. And we also have every other week a meeting. It's called Chat with Pat. Pat's the name. Pat Bevo is our assistant director, and so she also incorporates some professional development from our faculty who are on campus, our state specialists. And so we actually have later today a presentation from one of our consumer affairs state specialists, and this person will probably take 20, 25, maybe 30 minutes to talk about what she's been doing recently. So that type of thing is incorporated into, we're just kind of gotten into the habit of doing that kind of thing with these bi-monthly FCS calls. And again, it's all Zoom, but we are doing some professional development stuff in person, but for the most part, it's always been it's been virtual for the past little bit. So that's how we've been doing our professional development. It's not all NEAFCS, but I guess we kind of integrate, we're all learning from whatever professional development opportunities are out there.
And for somebody who talked about earlier about a state, I can't think of the word I want, job description for this position, it really does depend upon your state and what your state is doing versus what other states don't do. I mean, like Jim just talked about, Ohio State Extension does a lot of opportunities for program professional development that Jim doesn't have to actually himself plan, where in your state, it might be that you're expected to plan them. So it really depends upon the expectations in your state, what has been done or what may be done in the future. So it's hard for NEFCS to write a job description for everybody because of different states are different ways. And I know that some of the states have very few educators or agents compared to other states that have a lot. Texas has a huge number compared to the rest of us, as one example. you know, it varies there too on what maybe is happening. I do agree with Jill that maybe regional may be a better option in some ways, because then we have, we give opportunities to those states that have fewer people that maybe can't participate or can't get something together. And we would open it up to more people then too. So I think that could be a real positive to try to get regional involved. Anybody else want to chime in?
Yeah,
I just want to,
can I
oh,
weigh
go
in
ahead.
on that? Thanks, Crystal. I'm from Maine, and we work together with some of other staff in the Eastern region to create a committee of food preservation staff. So that's that kind of same idea where we feel like now we've only had like 3 meetings, so maybe been together for half the year, that we have more like power to invite people to speak to us, rather than if you're a small state or just are one person. And have had a meeting with Tracy from the National Center for Home Food Preservation in Georgia, and are scheduling one with a representative from Ball, and then can also get together with other regions. There's the North Central one that specifically has one around food preservation. So in general, though, I'd like to see NEAFCS kind of just help promote that connection between colleagues. Like you had your Connecting with Colleagues session in July. That would be great to continue around other topics that are relevant. Maybe not to all of NEAFCS, but just like people, you know, within a specific program area or something. Thanks.
Crystal, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was just really just going to add to the comments that have been made about having a job description, just to share that I'm sure there's some type of procedure within all of our affiliates where we have in Maryland, rather, we have an affiliate handbook. And so we update the handbook every 2 years, I think it is. So we actually just finished our most recent update. And what we did as part of our handbook is we looked at the national handbook. I think it's called a handbook, maybe some similar term. Yeah, and we reflected a lot. We used that as sort of a model for the language that we used in our affiliate handbook. So we took the roles and job descriptions and things like that for things like PD and awards and so on. And we adopted what made sense to adopt. And then we just kind of, packed around our own Maryland specific language and circumstances and things like that in terms of length of terms and what makes sense in the way that we do things. We have one meeting, one affiliate, because we're sort of small. We're way smaller than Texas, for example, and I'm sure it's probably done a little differently in larger states or smaller states. So I just wanted to share that's how we approach the way of having like a job description. And also in a smaller state, some of you realize, I'm sure, if your state is small, that a lot of us end up just sort of rotating roles. And, you might be in the same role for a few years if you keep getting asked to do it, even though the idea is that you're supposed to only do it for a year or two. Sometimes we kind of get planted if there's only a few of you to kind of share those roles with. So just throwing it out there to normalize it or see if that's what you guys do too.
Thanks. And we have some other states who have chimed in on chat that they have a handbook or affiliate toolkit that incorporates those same types of things. So if your state doesn't, maybe that's something you may want to try to help encourage your leadership to get together. That would help put things into writing, so that somebody does have something there. But I think it's going to be kind of individual states. And I think, we're always open too for webinars, suggestions on webinars, and we'll try to recruit. If you don't know who to recruit, if you want some webinar you're interested in having from NEAFCS, if you don't know who to have speak on that, You know, you can contact me. I will put my email in the chat. I'll hunt for somebody maybe to, or I'll try to hunt for finding somebody to do one. That's always a possibility too. So, and then maybe you can also contact contact also your regional representative on the board, as they have some, you know, they do talk to the presidents usually of the different states is who they usually talk to, but they, I think, would also be willing in many cases to try to work other things together, like they have that connection to colleagues, conversation time. So I think others are willing to perhaps step in and do some of that too. So you feel more connected, or you have those links that we haven't had maybe in the past. You know, but anybody else want to speak up? Okay, and Crystal said she's willing to, from Crystal, yeah. She's willing to share the document with others. So just let her know your email and she'll send it out to you. Okay. So it is available. Thank you, Crystal, for doing that. Is there certain subject areas that you feel is really needed from that any NEAFCS could help with, that you feel like there's a real void in some ways in your state, or topics that you really feel like we should try to get some webinars on that would be helpful? As you know, that we want to try to serve you, and so anything you know you need, we try to hunt down and find. So anybody want to make comments?
I'm going to vaguely, I'm not sure if I'm using the right terminology, but I know that I'm doing some COVID outreach in my area. So I'm not sure if this started as a COVID specific thing, but there's the registry. I don't remember the full name of the registry. Are you guys familiar with that? Okay, well,
So when you say COVID outreach, could you be a little bit more specific?
Yeah, so my state is one of several states that is involved with the Excite project, which frankly, I have to Google what that stands for.
Idaho's involved in that too. So when you
Okay.
say COVID outreach, Excite is about immunization outreach.
Yes.
Two levels. Okay.
You are right.
Make sure.
Yep, you're getting me on my terminology. Yep. And so for the vaccination outreach, there's the registry that I'm guessing you're familiar with then, some of you. But there's this registry that I don't remember the full title of it. And I really don't know if everybody, meaning everybody in extension, I don't know if everybody is aware of it or has access to it or knows how to use it. So that's the reason why I'm bringing that up, is that I've mentioned it even to some of my local colleagues and they didn't know what I was talking about and I had to show it to them. So maybe somebody sort of presenting, sharing these resources that do exist and sort of having a PD hour or half hour or something devoted to sharing these things that a lot of people might already know about. They don't have to attend, you know, or if it's new to you, then you would be interested and attend. But what it is, it's like this repository for if you have a really great program or a poster that you've created or some type of thing, it's a method of sharing all of this stuff that we're all out there doing all of the time. And so it's a way to put it out there and let people know if it's available to, you know, to adopt or adapt. and things like that, which is really something that I think we could do a whole lot more of across extension. So I don't know if you know what I'm talking about or if what I'm saying even makes sense. I'm just putting that out there as a potential thing that
Yeah,
maybe we could
Crystal,
offer.
in New Jersey, I think what you're referring to is being done in New Jersey with our ag and natural resources agents. And I think their focus was on immunizing farm workers. I don't think the FCHS had a part of that, but I mean, that's another thing to think about, like cross-departmental or, you know, cross-disciplinary.
Well, and it's becoming more than what it was originally put out there for. Like I did do a quick search in my email. I just typed in registry and it came up that back in June is when I had heard that it was first available. So it says the National Registry of Cooperative Extension Programs and Assets. And it's through the Extension Foundation.
Yeah.
And it says this tool is now available to Cooperative Extension, join 50 plus other extension programs that have already registered. And so when you create things, you can like add stuff to this. So
I think I added my, Jeanette Ray Keywood from 4-H and I in New Jersey, we created that developmental disabilities training series that I submitted it. I never even checked if it made it onto the registry, but like, that's the sort of thing that, you know, you could find on there. But yeah, extension foundations, I think they've really improved their outreach and their whole, I don't know, organizational structure seems to be, they're really in touch more than they were years ago, and really cross promoting the things that are going on in across the states and across the disciplines.
So is it
you get that
extension?
yeah, it's e-extension, but you get a extension foundation.
The name, Theresa, Terry.
I don't know, extension foundation digest or something that comes out. I don't know if it's daily or weekly, or I could like quickly extension foundation here. Weekly
that particular extension.org and then /registry is what's in this particular email that says to go to it if you're interested in that part of it. Otherwise, I'm sure extension.org would.
Yeah, Crystal, what you want to do is make sure you have a login and can get a part. I'm assuming Maryland is one of the states that pays into Extension Foundation in that. And so you'll want to get a login, and then you can identify what areas you work in that. And then they share across the board in that. And you're right, they're getting way better at really just sharing those ideas and putting those resources on board in that. And so then, you know, if immunization isn't your thing in that, there's other areas, as Michelle mentioned, that they'd already posted some great work there that she and Jeanette.
I'm going to put I'm going to copy the link. So it comes out every Monday. I'm going to put the link in the chat. And it says all cooperative extension professionals are invited to join Connect Extension. It's called Extension Weekly Digest, and you register a free account. I'll put it here. So, you know,
And I'm not at all trying to step on toes or offer trainings for things that, you know, aren't ours or mine or yours or whatever. But what I'm saying is, like, there's a lot of good stuff out there that, you know, kind of gets mentioned, or you pick up a chip clip or something at a conference. And then the reality, though, is that we get kind of wrapped up in doing everything else, and we don't really wind up connecting the dots for how is that resource truly helpful to me in my role as FCS educator within Extension. And so even just taking the stance of like having somebody offer a training on here's how you could use this tool, and maybe it would be them, you know, somebody from that entity doing it, or it could just be one of us saying, this is how I have found using this particular resource to be really helpful to my job within the scope of my role. And let me show you. And even just walking somebody through sort of like a resource highlight or something, I think would be really helpful. Like, I know you've heard of this. maybe you weren't sure how to jump in and start using it. Let me show you what's been working for me. You know, something like that, I think for me would be really helpful. So I'm assuming for somebody else, it might be helpful too.
I was part of the e-extension Ask an Expert. And then I knew we changed systems. I heard of the Extension Foundation, and that was shortly before I left or retired from Extension. But, you know, I think there's a lot of people out there that either don't know it exists or don't know how to use it or what they're supposed to do if they do try to go into it. So I can see where that would be an excellent, another excellent webinar we maybe could propose, to have somebody talk about why this, what is it doing, what can you get from it? Theresa?
Michelle, that link you sent to me is unique to you. So I just was going in and updating my preferences. So you might came back for your email address. So you might want to double check that.
Wait, what happened? What happened?
Well, I went into that link you put in the chat, and I guess it's tied into your email address. And I was just going through and updating preferences because I thought, oh, this is great.
So you just updated my preferences?
I just updated your preferences for you. So I apologize. I cannot believe I had that power and authority. So
okay, well,
there are a lot of things in there, and I did see connection extension, and I saw excite, and I was getting excited to be signing up for all these things, but I apologize.
No, I mean, it looked like a very, very long.
Yes. Well, I guess
I knew it probably wasn't right, but if everyone just goes to Google Connect extension, I'm sure you can find your way through it. So,
oh my goodness.
Can you undo what you did, or do I?
I don't know. It said if it wasn't tied into my email address to ignore this, and I'm like, okay.
All right, please.
My laptop's going to explode.
So just a quick clarification. Pardon me. Are you saying that Connect extension, this thing that I'm at right now, connect.extension.org, is the new version of what used to be e-extension? Is that what somebody said?
I think that is right. I am not sure, but I know e-extension kind of went away. So
I remember when I was here before. Remember I said I was here and then I went away and I came back. When I was here before, e-extension, I tried so hard to embrace that, and I was one of the Ask the Expert people, and it was so confusing and kind of wacky to me that, like, when I came back, I was making sure that I kept my distance from anything that said e-extension. So you're giving me something by just telling me that there's something different that has sort of replaced that, and I should give it a shot. So, all right.
There's something to replace that. And there's also, so I get mail from, like I said, I get a weekly digest from Connect Extension, and you can sign up for this free account. And I also, what used to be called, was it Impact Collaboratives? Is that what it was called?
Yeah, I think something like that.
To something else, that changed to something else. They really revamped the extension. It really is much more usable now.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I'll figure that all out when we get off the call. I don't want to compromise anyone else's reasons.
Anybody have anything else they would like to add or questions?
Just want to mention, I was at a meeting earlier at the 11 o'clock slot for the, gosh, what committee was it? Too many committees. The diversity committee. And one of the things I brought up as a possible article or survey is how people are handling translation. In my state, there's the need for Spanish translation. So I don't know, what we decided is that we'll put out some kind of survey to see how people are accomplishing that for print and for virtual teaching, and then write some kind of short article for the e-newsletter. But I don't know if that's something that this committee wants to think about as well. It's always been a real challenge for us at Rutgers. And from what I gathered this morning, it's we're not the only state that's having difficulties with that. So,
and the diversity committee is always welcome to ask to do a webinar or have a webinar space too. So that is something they can present a webinar to the rest of the organization. So they're always welcome to do that. And they have done one in the past, I know. So that is open to them.
I know in when I was working in our county, we partnered sometimes with our health department because of the outreach they were doing. They needed to have translators and so forth outside of Spanish because we have a large Vietnamese population. You know, some other ethnicities that required translation. And I know at one point they had reached out to the United Nations to see assistance they could get from that organization. But, you know, I know, you know, your health department or some other maybe community agency, health and human services agencies in your communities might be able to assist you with that because I think everybody's dealing with that at some level.
Yeah.
I know I was in a very rural county, but I a lot of times contacted our job and family services. So it was those that take care of signing up for SNAP programs and that type of thing, because they needed translators for that type of thing too. So I would contact them about who's available in the county maybe to do some of that. So, you know, or who I could use.
And Jill mentioned about the schools too. That's a really good resource too.
So. Anything else? Just for your information so that you can get your membership ready and involved in presenting hopefully for next year's conference, which will be in September in Raleigh, North Carolina, and hopefully definitely in person this time. So it will be open. I think December 1st is the plan to have the portal open for submitting a concurrent session or showcase of excellence. We have already come up with the track areas, so they're already set and submitted to help get that so that that whole system's ready to be opened December 1st. So, and then January 31st will be the date that it will close on. So get your state people who have done good programming this year or have some interesting programming or done some research projects or whatever, remind them that it is coming soon to fill out one of those applications for a presentation and online and get it in so that it does. Now there will be a webinar on how to submit a successful proposal. And you know, I don't have the date in front of me and I should have. It is around the beginning of December and on December 6th from 1 to 2 is what I've got down. Okay, so, and that will be recorded and then available for anybody to see after that. Okay, so it will be open then. Also, just a little heads up, you can be a reviewer for those proposals. If you have not done that in the past, it really does help you write a better proposal for the future when you're ready to write one, because it opens your eyes on what information really makes a successful proposal compared to some that are not written as well or do not have all of the information in there. So reviewing them is a big help on helping you really write good proposals. And there will be a session this week also on how to write a successful proposal And that one is on, I want to say it's Wednesday, but now I'm not sure.
Is it the same training as the one that will be offered on December 6th?
On December 6th, it will be a live presentation usually, so it will be slightly different, probably very similar, but a little bit different, okay? In the fact they will be live and be willing to take questions at either time, both during session now and also on the webinar the 6th, okay?
Oh, so you're saying it's being offered during the conference this week?
It's being offered
Okay.
during the conference this week.
Got it.
And
Sorry.
at the present minute, I don't have when.
We'll find it. We'll find
Okay.
it. Joey, you had mentioned a list, maybe. I think you were talking about, I don't know if you were saying it would be nice to have or that there is one. Both as a reminder for just everybody, but also great for professional development affiliate VPs to say, like, as the different deadlines come up, like, hey, here's your chance to go to, this is when PILD is, and this is when JSEP is, and this is when you can submit for things and all of that. Does that exist somewhere? Do any of you have something like that?
I think the reason for that is it changes slightly every year, and just like
Right.
this year's November compared to usually,
Just maybe a seasonal look ahead or something.
We could probably come up with that.
Okay.
And
I just didn't know if already existed.
the calendar on the website is usually pretty good.
Okay.
Keeping track of what's coming up. So you should refer to that.
Okay. Even outside of NEAFCS?
It would have JSEP leadership PILD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, on there.
Great.
Anything under the JSEP umbrella.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Do we know how many professional development affiliate VPs there are? Like, I know there's 10 of us now. I think we were up to 15 at one point, but like, are there, 50 some, or they're just not here, or?
I don't think there's 50. To be
Okay.
honest with you, I am not sure.
Potentially, I think like 40 or 43, I think, states that are active.
Okay.
Whether they all have, and again, some of the smaller states may not have
Right.
professional development, or they might just have one VP that does kind of everything.
Yeah. Regionally.
So, and a good way to find out again is, I would really encourage everybody on the call to really get to know your regional director and utilize your regional director to help with some of these things. And, especially since now we're much more familiar and comfortable with the virtual platform, like Pat was saying, it's typically just been the one meeting a year we get together, and that's it during annual session, but it doesn't mean it can't happen, 6 months from now or whatever. And I think, if anything, I think that helps build the connection, make it even deeper, and also is a really great membership recruitment tool too, because, the more we can provide professional development for our members, the more valuable membership in NEAFCS is, and the more vital it becomes. And especially if you can expand beyond your state borders, because when you're starting to look at, somebody was saying, I think it was from Maine, was that Marlene? I can't remember who was on from Maine, was saying that, it's far more effective if you're just a little tiny state, if you get together with the neighboring states, and then your impact is greater. So funders are going to look at that differently. And I think the same thing can happen with us in NEAFCS. So, especially if we're going to go to the outside for speakers for some of these national, foundations or organizations or conglomerates, if they want to look at how many people you could potentially reach, especially if they're going to do it for free.
Yes, a lot of times they do. We, when we get people like, well, how many is usually on one of your webinars? They want to know that information up front.
Hey, when I start doing my programs live, I want to
A
know.
lot of times we get twice as many on there as we do in person, you know, so we try to promote that, the fact that people do go check out the ones we have archived and listen to them. So,
Yeah. That's the other challenge. You know, I think a lot of us have really good intentions. And if you miss something, you say, oh, I know it's archived and I can go listen to it. But then it's remembering to go back and do that. And I don't know how you can, you know, improve that number, that ratio, but yeah. You know, and again, I mean, Pat, you've got the list of everybody that was at the call today, on the call today. So hopefully we can all keep in touch with each other.
right.
So.
Well, it is basically time. So, and I have another meeting at 4, so I would like to get up and move a little bit and go to the restroom before my 4 o'clock meeting. Thank you all for attending. Thank you for all the good ideas and the good discussion and bringing up some things that hopefully we can work on and improve, or I can work on and improve. Please think about submitting webinars. As we would love to do more webinars and have them available. And if you have any suggestions, email me, contact me, whatever, and we'll see if we can't do something about those, getting those going. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
See you this week again, hopefully.
Yes, probably.
Be there.